March 2006, the Basongora were expelled and thrown out of the DRC. They were transported by the Congo authorities up to Mpondwe border post of Uganda side, where they crossed into Uganda. They were temporarily accommodated in some places of Nyakatonzi areas and Bwera.
We didn't have any alternative because we couldn't go back to where we were.
When these people came, and we appreciated that they have nowhere to put the animals, so we settled them partly as we wait for defining the whole problem and see how best we can handle it as a government.
These are people who had been thrown out of Kayanja. These are people who had been thrown out of parts of Mhoche. These are people who had been thrown out of parts of Ruehingo, and they had been forced to move hopelessly, as if they don't belong to this country.
Meanwhile, a ministerial committee headed by the Minister of Agriculture, Animal, Fisheries and Industries, comprised of stakeholders, was appointed by the President to study and analyze the Basongora issues and come up with an implementable solution.
He appointed me as the chairman of the committee, and there were other ministries like Ministry of Local Government, the Minister of Disaster Preparedness, Minister of Internal Affairs, Minister of Lands, Uganda Prisons, the Commissioner of Prisons, the Commissioner, the Inspector General of Police, and representatives of Uganda Wildlife Authority, and any other ministries that we feel we can co-opt.
For a while, the Basongora stayed within the boundaries of their allocated areas from where they grazed their cattle, keeping over 8,000 heads of cattle in a restricted area on the fringes of Queen Elizabeth National Park that is covered with lush vegetation. Was too tempting for people who had their cattle searching for greener pastures. Inevitably, they surged into the park. This action was no doubt caused serious concerns to the National Park Authorities, Uganda Wildlife Authority.
Other people took advantage. The other Basongora who had some grazing areas in other areas, they also started invading the park.
The Minister of Tourism, accompanied by his director of UA, they came to the national park and talked to the people who had come into the national park. They sat with them for a number of minutes, discussed with them, and the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Kundo, told them that I understand your situation, give me time, stay here, I'm going to consult. And he promised he's going to tell the President. Now, when he went, after some time, the President came and found people in the national park. And he told us that he's going to talk to the government to solve the Basongora problem.
The Interministerial Committee had been given 2 weeks in which to come up with a solution, but 9 months had elapsed without any conclusive solution, and park authorities, ironically, being part of the committee, became impatient.
We had to take some action, not only to create order, but also to remind the committee that the 2 weeks had long expired.
On the 6th of May 2006, at dawn, the Basongora returnees who had come here at Rangery to the northwest of the park woke up to a surprise raid by the park authorities that brutally destroyed their settlements, property, and caused serious injuries to people in a bid to evict them from the park. At the time of the raid, this temporary facility was holding 125 families. The entire settlement looked like it had been struck by a hurricane. For 27-year-old Geoffrey Kiza narrowly survived death when the bullet from the riders missed his chest and tore through his triceps.
The
bullet wound that was sustained by this guy who was shot at by the...
45-year-old Kezia Kato also lost property in the riot. She was bayoneted by the riders on her head.
She's trying to explain to me that she was bayoneted here on her head, so you can see the scar of the bayonet that ripped through her skin here.
These are bullet wounds that ripped through her saucepan.
Obutimba bwona bukasharasharwa ombuguriya habo kubaha inenyanja nugutirira cyumwe.
27-year-old boy Christopher Happy walks with the aid of a walking stick. During the ride, a bullet ripped through his right foot. He survived death when he fell down after failing to run. He says the ride was carried out by Wua Park Rangers, assisted by the army.
Walujja kubuza ebintu byanje byafabuta bubataha amasasa abantu babirukya babambura hawanje hali wanje n'obusire hali awanje kubabahikizeho kiki omusajja kuna nagize ntendo yanje utagikambura banzo leke nyihemu ebintu byanje yanteraho isasa ekigeri isasa rikatera aha yani ryarigira mwaha agana masa ebisokonkoro bya masasi balimbanaka.
Children also helplessly looked on as their parents were being brutalized and property destroyed.
Sahi 12 baija batera amasasi batubinga twiruka abantu kubabasigire abandi bakaterwa amasasi abandi bakabatemesa emisho kutwirukire batahumaka batema amaju batagwire bintu batagura buri kintu cyone kintu cyo munsi cyone batwata bakitagatagura batugira ngo oda ya sarapi y'urukundo.
If we had not exhibited a high sense of discipline, which we credit ourselves with, because we have won trophies for being the most disciplined force in this country for 2 years running.
But you shot at people.
Shooting at people is not equivalent to killing people.
Yeah, but when
or to harassing people.
Somebody's arm, that shows that that was a narrow escape.
No, there was no narrow escape. We have tools of work which we must use depending on given conditions. If we were not legally allowed to use these tools, then we shouldn't hold them at all.
What surprises me is that...
And nobody here is dead. Please, I want you to take this very carefully. Nobody is dead, and it's unlikely that even anybody is disabled. If we were to kill anybody, that's the time people should have died. But nobody was killed, and nobody was seriously injured.
But who sanctioned the operation, and with what instructions?
Actually, the executive director of Uganda Wildlife to go and oversee the operation. Unfortunately, he could not be there. So he sent his deputy. The deputy, that's the one who was in charge. So it was really overseen at a higher level. And we in the government, we do not condone brutality to our people.
What did the letter say? The letter was saying they have identified the FMD and they want to control it. So people should be put in specific points. Hope he can accept his word. He said he has 2 orders, one written, one unwritten. I remember asking the minister, the director, I said, Honorable Director, you put yourself in my shoes. If the minister came here and told you stay until I sort out the problem, accompanied by his director, and the president came and said he's going to talk to government because government works through institutions to sort out the problem. And if I came to you without a written statement from these people that is telling you move out, how would you behave? I remember him saying, but I have to do this, or I don't have a job.
We are not working with robots, we are working with the people. And any intelligent person, and we are all intelligent, who knows how to get his job done in this era will know how to get his job done based on the rightful procedures. So this trash about verbal orders and written orders is nonsense.
Interestingly, the area where the park authorities made attempts to evict the people is still occupied by the same people, and the same authority denied destroying property and use of brutality by park rangers.
No property that was destroyed. What are we talking about here? If you put a temporary hut in an area of the park where it should not be, and we come and tell you, please get out of this temporary hut of yours, go in the other place, and you move. And once you have moved, we remove the grass and the poles. Which property are we talking about?
The household property.
There's no household property that was destroyed. People were allowed to take their household property.
I myself was born in Katu. So my father was also born in Kasese here. The grandfather, they also buried here. All of them, they are here in Kasese. So this is our homeland. And this is our Songora. We have a Songora, and we lived in Songora since then. I can't tell that we started in certain year or in certain century, but on my knowledge, I found myself when I was in Kasese, and I'm still now in Kasese.
Yeah, that's their claim, which I say is unfortunate, because they just say the whole of this lower land used to be theirs. When we don't know, and nobody knows. They said the park used to be their land. So, but unfortunately, the history has brought us this far. When they are settled in Kabirizi, that's where they are. Bakonzo are settled here. Vanyavinda are settled in Mhocha. This is prison land. That is, you see, to us, we have come to be when it is like that. But they refer us to history, which history most of us, unfortunately, we have not read. It is not recorded, but that's what they claim.
It was 10 months ever since the Interministerial Committee was appointed, but what were its findings and recommendations?
As a committee, that we have to find a place where to locate the Basongora, get them out of the national park. We evaluated the various government lands available in Kasese district, like prisons, farms were underutilized. Mubuku irrigation scheme is only less than half utilized. Ibuga refugee settlement area, which is the largest of the land available, is approximately 30 square kilometers, was also falling vacant because most refugees were now returning back to their countries. We also have the army land, which is not fully utilized. So the committee evaluated this land available, and all this land area basically are part of the original Songora area.
But Uganda Wildlife Authority attributed the negative development to the way the committee was doing its work.
We have also had concerns about the pace of work of the committee, because the time frame given to the committee by the appointing authority was 2 weeks. Now, 2 weeks of August 2006. Today, it is 1 year, and we still don't have a solution finalized.
This was part of the land that was earmarked to be returned to the Basongora people there was evidence of new cultivation activities, whereas in other areas like Bigando, the cultivators that threw the Basongora people off the land in 2004 were still there. The question here was whether they can live together again.
The situation which I'm seeing now, we cannot.
Why?
The way we are handled, it seems we cannot settle together. Because if we create an enemy to a certain person, it's not very easy to wrap it off. So now we have that fear. The thinking they have in their minds to disturb us from time to time, because this struggle, it was not just it is a planned struggle of them. They have their hidden agendas which we don't know.
I don't have any problem with resettling Basongora, but they should not be resettled at the disadvantage, at the expense of their Bakonzo counterparts.
At the end of the day, the possible solutions to solving the Basongora problems would be in returning the land that originally belonged to them, but had been institutionalized by government. Timothy Spasi, Just Television, Kampala.